Hi friends, thank you so much for joining me today. I wanted to share a quick project. I decided to use these old greeting cards and envelopes that I had made pockets out of to store pieces of scrap paper and pattern paper that I used to use to create greeting cards. I haven't been doing that for a while now, so I decided to use these for something else. I am going to be making some collage books using these envelopes. And a bunch of scrap papers and painty papers and other types of collage material that I have in my stash. I started out by grabbing this very large white paint marker, and I'm just making some marks on the front and back of the cover for this first collage book. And initially I leave the collage, or rather I leave the greeting cards together, thinking that I was going to have enough space to add a few pages, but I do end up having to divide or cut both the front cover and the back cover apart because I ended up having too many layers. Not that that's a bad thing, that's always a good thing. But anyway, once I'm done mark making on my front and back covers, I start grabbing some collage powder from my stash. These are just some watercolor circles that I created on watercolor paper. And then I also have a piece of contrasted bright yellow pattern paper. And I'm playing around with that placement for that. And I decide to actually follow the pattern and cut out the pieces of these little arched strips. And I'm just gonna layer them on my cover as well. If you're new here, thank you so much for joining and for checking out my channel. I do create lots of different types of crafts, paper crafts, particularly as of late. I've been making a lot of mixed media and things do go a little quickly. I do prefer to get straight to the point most of the time. So if you find that this is going a little fast, you can always pause, go back, or even change the speed of the video if you'd like to craft with me, which I always love. I'm just happy to be crafting with you guys again. And so I take the pieces of the paper that I cut out and I'm just going to stack them in this, I don't know what you would call this, like just a little pyramid fashion, just like they were on the pattern, on the actual pattern paper. And then again, I continue to go through my stash and I find other pieces of previously made papers that I've cut out or collaged or sketched or painted, and I add them onto the cover as well. In this video, you'll see me create the covers, the front and back covers, as well as the inside of the back cover and a couple of pages. So in here, I'm going to be adding loose collage papers, and you'll see how I add them to the inside. They will be added using hinges. Once I glue that circle down, I did have to hold it down because my collage paper, or rather my water paper, is really thick. And then again, I continue going through my stash. I find this other really pretty orange piece that contrasts against the blue, and I add that as well. And to sort of marry the two designs from the previous collage piece at the top left and the other pieces on here, I grab that same colored art crayon and add some additional circles to just sort of incorporate the same pattern throughout, just so they have some similarities all over the entire collage. What am I trying to say? What is that word? Composition. Yeah, there's no technicalities here. I usually create very intuitively, and I follow my gut, and I just go by how I feel. If something looks a little bit much, I usually will go back and change things, and to me, pretty much nothing is ever finished. I can always come back to something and add something, take something away. I have artwork that has been sort of ongoing for years. I don't know if any of you out there are like that, but my art journals are pretty much always open for change and alterations. I don't know why, but I can't commit to like a specific finished project. It's really hard for me. But as you can see, I grabbed this blue paint and I continue to incorporate some of the same colors just so everything matches and looks good together. And then I take another watercolor circle cutout and add it to the bottom left and layer it up, and I really love how that looks. I love the layers, I love the colors, I love the brightness and just everything all together. I grab this other painted background paper that I'm gonna cut out some like mint green hearts from, and then I play around with the composition of these as well and the placement, and I think I change it up a few times before I finally decide on where I want to put them. But eventually they come together pretty nice in a way that I'm happy with. And as you'll see, I may come back and film some more pages that I make for these collage books, and just so you can see the process of me adding things. I may add words, I'm not sure. I may add flowers or glitter or ruffled pieces of paper or ribbon. I'm not sure yet what else I'm going to be adding to these little pages. But, this is also a good project for anybody who doesn't have a lot of time on their hands to create a project from start to finish, because it gives you the freedom of working on it a little bit and then coming back to it later on and adding to it and then coming back to it later on, and just continuously working on it until you're happy with what you have. I have been considering making a video just kind of sharing some quick projects or quick art activities, I guess you could say, that you could do when you don't have a lot of time. As a mom of two, I usually don't have a lot of time to create. So when I do, I try to find things that I'm not going to be too upset about if I kind of have to stop halfway through, because I do get interrupted a lot. And so there are certain creative works that I like to do when I have very limited time. And this is one of those things. Now I'm adding some more marks to the background, again, just to tie everything together and finish up this background. And now I want to work on the back cover. I had also used up some of the blue paint and added some marks on the backside as well. I don't like letting paint go to waste. If there's some paint left over, I'm going to use it somehow, somewhere. And so that's what I did with the leftover blue paint. Now, keeping in with the same color theme, I'm using that same yellow pattern paper, and I'm just gonna add some torn strips to the back cover, and some more cut apart pieces from old artworks. Sometimes I have made a background in an art journal that I wasn't happy with, and I will just tear it out, cut it up, and then use it like this in just other projects. I know some people probably prefer to keep it in their book or paint over it maybe, or just accept that, it was an ugly art piece, which is fine. I've made lots and lots of ugly art pieces, but sometimes I just feel like, I don't want to waste it. So I'll rip it out of the art journal and then I'll just use it in other stuff like this. I'm now adding a heart. And if you're familiar with my channel, I am left-handed, but due to a nerve issue, my left hand is not at full capacity right now, so I'm having to use my right hand a lot more, and it's actually why I've been collaging so much lately. I am not able to actually draw or paint properly with my left hand, so I'm having to use my non-dominant hand, my right hand, to do a lot of stuff. And collaging is probably one of the easiest things to do with your non-dominant hand because it doesn't require much. So here I'm just cutting some little rainbows out of another piece of paper that I had been playing around with using art crayons. And I'm going to be gluing those down on here as well. And I'm curious to know if you guys, if you do mixed media or you do some collaging, do you find that you get to a point where you feel like your work is completed, or do you feel like you could always add something else? Like me, I feel like nothing's ever complete. I grabbed this piece of black paper that I had added some white paint to, and I love the contrast of it, so I just go ahead and add this onto there as well. And I think that's where I leave that part, and then I move on to the inside. And so here's the first piece of scrap strip paper that I'm gonna use as a hinge for attaching the first collage page inside of this collage book. There is a method to this. However, I, at the time, did not feel like looking it up, so I kind of just winged it. I knew it was like, I knew more or less how to use this technique with the hinges and the pages, but I wasn't looking for anything perfect or specific, so I just went with it. I just glued down some hinges, and I start attaching pages, and then I just keep adding more hinges in different places to add more pages. It does turn out in a way that I really like. I really like how the end result is, and I will continue sharing more of this process as I go along. But for now, we'll see just a couple of pages. And so now for the next hinges, see, I've added the yellow hinges. I'm going to be adding that piece of collage paper over those two hinges, and then I grab some more scrap paper and I'm going to create the next hinges for the next page. And if you ever have loose artwork that you want to put all in one book, this is a great way to do that, just to use hinges to attach them to a book or journal or album, or what have you. So I'm now preparing what are going to be the hinges for the next page, and I'm attaching them to the current page. And I'm going to be careful not to, well, obviously I can't overlap them with the current yellow hinges because then they're not going to turn properly. I don't know if that makes any sense, but yeah. If you want specific techniques, I'm probably not the channel for you. I'm definitely a very intuitive person, and I just go with the flow. So if you're here because you want to just see some art projects, you want to get some ideas and some inspiration, you want to see just some work getting done in the background of whatever you're doing, then you're in the right place. I love playing with paper. I love playing with mixed media and just inventing things, I guess, just going with the flow. So I put in the hinges. I'm gluing on some more pieces of painty papers from my stash onto this back page because I saw it blank and I immediately hated it, so I had to add something on top. I couldn't even wait. And I saw here's another piece of black paper with some white paint over it, or white marks. Mark making is definitely another activity and another art activity that you could do when you don't have a lot of time. And I add that on there, and I love the contrast of these patterns and colors. And this one as well. It's another one I grabbed from my stash. I think part of this went onto the cover also. And I glue that down. The glue that I'm using is PVA glue. It's for creating book covers, but I think that it was almost finished and I just added some regular white glue, so nothing special. And then I grabbed this cute little piece of blue, I don't know, garbage. I guess some people would call this garbage, but I like the color. And I decided to cut it up into 3 little strips and add them on as another layer to my background here. It almost looks like they're being used as tape. Oh, and I added a heart. I think I probably just skipped over that. Now I'm going to add this piece of watercolor paper that I was playing around with, some like liquid pigments, and I want to add these to the back pocket, but I don't want to cover the pocket itself. Like I want to have access to the pocket. I'm using my giant white marker again to add some, like a white border behind where my collage piece is going to go. And here I'm just checking that I'm happy with that. Adding some more white. And then I'm going to glue that down as well. And I am adding a good amount of glue because the watercolor paper that I used is very thick, and so it does need a good amount of glue to hold it down. I think I do also have to like put some stuff on top of it just to keep it in place as it dries. And yeah, this is me just piling a bunch of stuff. So for now, this is where I'm going to stop, but I am going to be creating more pages, and I hope you come back to check those out. I hope you enjoyed this for now. See you guys later.